In this session, our focus is understanding critical thinking. The idea of critical thinking is not new. It has been an educational goal for decades, and it can be traced back to Socrates in ancient Athens. Recently, there has been considerable talk among educators about developing 21st century skills, and critical thinking is one of the most frequently identified core abilities that students need in order to succeed in school and beyond. Despite this heightened attention, there is considerable confusion about critical thinking. Some definitions focus on specific tasks that critical thinkers do, such as identifying assumptions, analyzing arguments, and evaluating information. While it's true that thinkers do these things, these tasks are only part of the picture. Students can and should be thinking critically when doing almost any task, whether they're deciding on a computer to purchase, to do their homework now or postpone it for a later time, or which approach to use in solving a math problem. Other definitions portray critical thinking solely as a matter of reacting to the ideas of others. But surely we want students to imagine and critically consider the best way to capture a desired message or impression in a work of art or in a piece of writing. And of course, one of the most enduring stereotypes is the impression that teaching students to think critically is tantamount to encouraging them to criticize and be suspicious of everything, perhaps even cynical. While we don't want students to accept everything without thought, it seems equally thoughtless to reject or disparage everything simply for the sake of it. Well, if the common definitions are too narrow and misleading, how should we understand critical thinking? First of all, critical thinking is centrally concerned with ongoing mindful assessment of what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. It doesn't mean that we never put thinking on hold, but like other useful mindsets, such as being attentive to traffic while driving a car, it helps to be ready to invoke critical judgment whenever appropriate. For instance, we hope you are thoughtfully assessing what we are presenting to you in this session. Second, these assessments should be done in a balanced and responsible way. This means considering the pros and cons and looking at ideas and actions from various perspectives. For example, in assessing this session, are you devoting equal attention to its strengths and its shortcomings? Are you anticipating how others might look upon this presentation and not exclusively considering it in light of your own needs and questions? Third, critical thinking can be applied when creating new ideas and works, and when responding to others. Fourth, while students should learn to think for themselves, they need not think by themselves. One of the best ways to explore the perspectives of others is to collaborate with others in thoughtful deliberation. Finally, whenever individuals assess something, they must do so in light of relevant criteria. Criteria are the cornerstone of critical thinking. In fact, criteria and critical share the same root word. When we are thinking critically, we are attempting to use criteria as the basis for our reasoned assessment. In other words, critical thinking is criterial thinking. For example, when thinking critically about this session, you may want to consider whether the presentation is clear, the message important, and the ideas plausible and relevant. We understand critical thinking as ongoing mindful assessment in balanced and responsible ways that are both constructive and reactive, conducted alone and with others, but always done in light of conscious consideration of relevant criteria. Clearly, critical thinking is the foundation of education at any level. We hope this session and others in this series will help you focus on critical inquiry.